Welcome to Amazon Answers. I am Jared, and what's up, Cameron? And today we are going to be talking about Wonder Woman's supervillains. Because here's the thing. This has been a topic that's been discussed on the internet many times, that some people think that Wonder Woman doesn't have good supervillains, like a good rogues gallery, when she really does. And she honestly has some of the coolest supervillains in comic books. And that's why that's part of why I did this stream, beyond the fact that you guys also requested it. So I'm going to do that. But, and I prepared a PowerPoint of like my top 5 Wonder Woman villains. So we'll go over that. But first, let me take off my hoodie because it is really hot in my room. Okay. Hey, what's up, NJ? So, yeah. So, these are all of the Wonder Woman villains that I think deserve more respect. And honestly, I think are some of the coolest characters in comics. I'm going to share my screen because, like with Super Wonder Legacy, I provided a PowerPoint. Let's do this. So, my top Wonder Woman villains, and come up with a top 5 list of your own. And then if you want, what we can do at the end of this is maybe I'll even have you on the show. I'll even open up the panel so you guys can talk about it. But Cameron says, the problem is, 1, writers don't give them a chance, and 2, some fans want her villains to be like Batman, so offshoot. This is what it'd be like if this happened. True. And it's like too many villains. I mean, too many villains. That's the case of like Tom King. Too many writers want to instead create their own villains as opposed to actually using the ones that are provided. It's like, bro, actually use them. This is what, because no one's going to remember Sovereign. No one's going to remember a matriarch. They're never going to be used again. That I'm virtually certain of. But it's like, instead of using this, instead of actually like using what's available to you, you don't. Sorry to disrespect about Gigantic and Cheetah up to overpowered Joker. Okay, NJ, I will say this one little thing. He did give Diana Thor's hammer. So you win some, you lose some. Cheetah, Circe, Ares, Silver Swan, Dr. Psycho. Nice one. Nice picks. Who would be Diana's greatest rivals in both heroes and villains? Batman for heroes and Grail for villains. I wouldn't say Batman is a rival to her at all. Batman's not even in her league. I would say more Superman. Both reflect a core part of her character in a way. Batman reflects nothing a part of Diana in a way. But anyway, so let's get started. So for my number 5, and it's going to be in descending order, Giganta. Giganta is like a classic Wonder Woman villain, and she's one of the villains that respects. Yeah, NJ, yeah, absolutely, I'll give you that. But he also didn't respect Shazam either. But yeah, if you're talking about respecting Wonder Woman's villains, yeah, he didn't. I'm 100% in agreement with you with that. But with Giganta, she's a classic, and the thing I like about Giganta is she's also the villain that Diana can also team up with occasionally, like in the, I think it was Orlando or something like that. Oh no, Willow Wilson run. And it's like when Diana and Tom Tresser broke up, it's like Giganta took a break from fighting Wonder Woman to like talk her through her issues. And I'm like, okay, that's a good way of subverting my expectations in a good way, because you would expect her to be like a straight up fight or anything like that. But they respect her enough that it's like, it's right there. Cameron says, do you see her as a main or a bodyguard? I could see her honestly as both. Giganta is one of those characters that can be threatening if you actually use her properly, or she could be like the muscle of like a group of villains. So it's really definitely see her as either of them. That's the cool part about this, about most of them on this list, is that most of them work as either, well, actually, no, there are only 2 of, actually 3 of the 5 on this list are the ones that actually could be also like a boss or a muscle, and I'll discuss that as we go on. So next one, Doctor. Here's the other. So beyond Doctor Psycho's like scariness, it's also because he's a villain that challenges her mentally, and that's the thing. Whenever these writers talk about it's hard to create challenges for like Superman or Wonder Woman because they're so powerful, I'm like, okay, yeah, physically maybe you have a point there. But you also have villains like Dr. Psycho that challenge her mentally as well. Like there's stories like the other one Tom King ripped off, where Diana is stuck in like this simulation of the 50s because of Dr. Psycho's mind control. There's something you could do with that. Or like at the near the end of the Rucka one, right around the time Infinite Crisis was starting up, you had that where Wonder Woman, you had that where all of these people were starting to act very strangely, but it turns out Psycho was mind controlling them. So there's any number of like ways you could really use him. You just need someone, again, that really understands the characters and wants to use them, because that's where all of this gets really crazy, because not enough people actually understand the character or like actually want to actually properly utilize them. But yes, Psycho is the character that you can have him be like the main villain for an arc or even a run, but you could also have him just be like a henchman. He's another one that you could see as both, because it's like he plays the henchman role really, really, really well. And I really enjoy a lot of the Dr. Psycho stories I see. So then my next one, Circe. Now, here's the thing. With Absolute, Circe's also been a hero. So that's actually really cool to see this. But with Circe, she's one of the two characters on this list that can be seen as a dark reflection of Diana, in that Circe is like an evil sorceress, at least in the main line. But here's the thing. Some writers, like Phil Jimenez, has made it where like she's not necessarily evil. She's just trying to protect her daughter. So I'm like, okay, I can kind of see how that works. And plus, Circe's honestly a villain that I don't. In Park, I put her as number 3 because I didn't want to. Because there's like, I didn't want to take up so many spaces with like number 2 is Circe, number 3 is that. I was trying to make this a little bit more unique than like the generic Giganta, Circe, and Cheetah. All right, spoiler alert: Cheetah's not on this list because there's another villain that I could have put in number 2 spot. I could have put Cheetah number 2, but there's one villain that does not get used enough, so I wanted to highlight that. This top it doesn't make sense if it doesn't have Egg Fu. I've never read the only Egg Fu story I've read, I think, is a Black Adam story, so it's not necessarily like a character I'm that familiar with. But with Circe, it's more like she also challenges Diana's mercy, and it's cool seeing like the magical side of supervillains when it comes to like Diana. And some of Diana's greatest stories are with Circe. But the other thing about Circe is one of those. I always thought Circe was one of her OG. Yeah, she is. The other thing about Circe, here's the thing. Circe cannot be used as a henchman. She just can't. And again, Tom King putting her as a henchman proves he doesn't understand. I consider her both team up for a story. I don't think it's necessarily permanent, but for a story, yeah, I could see her temporarily aligning with Circe. Now, if we're talking about an absolute team up with absolute Circe and absolute Wonder Woman, yeah, I could definitely see that. 100%. She's more like a planner or someone who plots. Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised, but if I were taking over the King run in the middle of the Sovereign story, I would just have it where like Circe and Grail formed a temporary alliance to take down the Sovereign because they didn't like taking orders. That's what I would do. And then just completely pants the dude. By the way, Sovereign and Matriarch will not be on this list. Big surprise, right? Next one. This is one that I think you guys are not going to see coming. Genocide, Wonder Woman's Doomsday. And this was a very interesting character who beat Diana to a pulp in the Gail Simone run, to the point where she took the lasso and like threaded it into her very skin and was like using truth against Diana, and she beat the crap out of Diana. Like, this is the villain. By the way, henchman exclusively. I mean, if you want to do like a death of Superman like thing where she's like doing a rampage and Diana has to stop her, fine. But she's more of like a fire and forget weapon you unleash. That's more of like where I would put her. But Genocide is the villain that can give Diana a run for her money in terms of the physical combat like position of Diana. Yeah, exactly, Cameron. She got brutalized to the point where she was even holding her own against Diana, Donna, and Cassie. So I'm like, yeah, you can't. In terms of a physical fight, there's very few Wonder Woman villains that can present as big of a fight as Genocide. And this is why I didn't want to put Cheetah number 2, because I wanted to go a little bit more. I would replace her with Devastation. Thoughts? Devastation, I kind of dig, but I also really loved the spectacle of when she fought Diana in the Gail Simone run a little more. But that's just me. That's just me. But the thing about this, and the reason why I didn't do like Cheetah on this list, because I wanted her to I wanted this list to be villains you may not necessarily expect. DC Life says Genocide was set up well, but the story didn't end well. One of them got angry and suddenly, yeah, exactly. So my number 1 favorite Wonder Woman villain, I think anyone that's watched the show can pretty much guess who this is, but screw it. It's Grail. It's 100% Grail, the daughter of Darkseid. Because here's the thing with Grail, as I've said, one of the coolest things about Grail is that she is the dark reflection of Diana. She is Diana's reverse Flash, whereas she's what you can use her. The way I would use Grail is, you know how there's a group of people that think that Diana is just a warrior and she's very brutal and stuff. In other words, Injustice Wonder Woman. You can use Grail and the fight against Grail as a commentary on that, so that you can point, that's not who Diana is. Like, in no way is that who Diana is. And then that way, as you go on, you can have it where like Diana says, no, yes, I'm a warrior. I'm trained for battle, but I'm never just going to like resort to violence. And also it's like, and you could have Grail say, I'm who you should be. I'm who the Amazons need. DC Life says Grail is also set up well, but also suddenly one of them is beating her when she's angry, though. Yeah, I know. But the other thing, this is the other part that made me check out of the Sovereign arc. The fact that Grail, the daughter of Darkseid, is doing the will of a human Sovereign. I don't care if it's like, if he's like, oh, he's a meta-human. No, Darkseid would kill Grail just for doing the will of another. The Darkseid, no, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. That literally does not work, and that is in no way how this character is supposed to be. And it's like, yeah. Parker says Grail is definitely easily number 1, and definitely also a different good grades you get. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, that's the other part of the King run that's so heartbreaking. The Diana versus Grail fights were dope, except for when Cheetah all of a sudden had to fight Grail, and it's like Cheetah all of a sudden is like standing her own against Grail. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, NJ, but Cheetah would not be able to fight Grail. Absolutely not. Cheetah would not be able to fight Grail. I also hate seeing Grail take towards me human. Yeah, exactly. It makes absolutely zero sense. The Wonder Predator. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's like, plus the other thing is that being the daughter of Darkseid, Grail is the other villain. Grail is the villain that you could have both the psychological and the physical threat, because Grail could challenge Diana's ideas, and she could challenge Diana physically into combat. And then you could have a dope fights because she's just as powerful as Diana and can hold her own against Diana. And then again, you could have like if Grail was the real bad guy behind the Sovereign and he was just a Grail the entire time, that would be something. Like maybe Grail took a random man and was using him as like a like front. That'd be something. Cheetah is OP, bro. I know you don't like her, but she sold the league twice with Flash and Soups in it. Yeah, but that in and of itself was very like, well, even with that, that was Cheetah using the completely taken over by the spirit that inhabits her. This Cheetah hasn't done that, purged that from her system in a previous run. So that's by definition a weaker Cheetah. Grail and Circe could be a quite an interesting duo, especially if it involves Diana. So Grail and Circe teaming up. Excuse me. Grail and Circe teaming up. Wow, that is something I never thought I want to see, but you know what? I want to see that. Cheetah is faster than Grail, and she could hurt her from her claws. Yeah, but Grail is the daughter of Darkseid, and thus is as durable as Darkseid. That's like saying Cheetah could fight Darkseid. It's not a thing. How should Grail be used? Because I kind of see her only being used with Darkseid. Here's what you could do with Grail. I'll give you a story. She disguises herself as another Amazon and starts attacking people. Here's how I would use Grail as the villain of Tom King's Wonder Woman if I still had to write that story. Grail disguises herself as another Amazon, does the whole bar thing in order to like cause humanity to turn on the Amazons and Diana. She orchestrates the entire thing. She's ruling from behind the scenes, but knows that no one's going to take the daughter of Darkseid's orders. So she kidnaps a dude from an old folks home and like using like sort of like Desaad's mind control powers or like she could have Desaad like break his mind. She reforges him into the Sovereign and just uses him as like a villain as like a figurehead to rule the country while she is under control. Let's see. How about Superwoman from Earth 3? Yeah, that could work. The thing about this list is that I wanted to kind of have it where I didn't necessarily want to have just Earth 3 version of Wonder Woman, because obviously I could have evil version of Wonder Woman, sure, but that's something else. Cheetah should be that strong, though, since she's empowered by an ancient god. Makes sense. Yeah, but she took part of that power out of it. That's what I'm trying to tell you, NJ. The reason why she kind of turned into more of like a humanoid Cheetah is because they purged that part. If you're talking about regular Cheetah from like beginning of the Rebirth run, I could kind of see that. And Jared, if there is a devil verse of Wonder Woman, there might be an evil version of Superman and Batman made by Darkseid and the Dark Trinity. Devil verse? I've never heard of that. Better yet, have it be Dr. Psycho. This is a Wonder Woman run, so it should only be her villains. Well, yeah, exactly. And King also said that like Lex Luthor is all of a sudden gonna show up in this runs, and like Britt and I found this out, and we're like, Veronica Cale is literally right there. She has her own version of Lex Luthor. Stop using other people's villains. That's the thing. If I were editing this book and he said, I want to use Lex Luthor, I'm saying, no, you have to use the Wonder Woman villains. Evil Wonder Woman. Yeah, well, there is an evil Superman and Batman. It's called Ultraman and Owlman. That's what it is. And they're not made by Darkseid. The Earth 3 super villains hunter are legit just like the evil Earth versions of these characters. But yeah, it's like and you could have it again. It was Grail all along. That's basically what I would want to do with this. And at the end, Grail is the one that also kills Steve Trevor, because what Grail is trying to do. Yeah. NJ, exactly. That's what Britt and I were saying. We're like, wait a minute here. She has a Lex Luthor. And Parker says, some lesser-known Wonder Woman villains, Queen Clea, Hypnota. Well, that's the other thing. Read the 1 year later Wonder Woman story, Who is Wonder Woman? I'll get the cover. read this. And it has an entire page that has the like ending that at the end that lists like all the Wonder Woman villains. I don't know why like, oh, Diana fell. I'll get her later. But yeah, it's like you can have it where like Grail is the purpose of Grail in the story is to push Diana to becoming more like Grail, to embracing her true Amazon. And this is also the commentary on the people. I think the Amazons are just straight up just warrior evil people. And it's essentially to push Diana to like go that far, but Diana doesn't and says you have no idea what Amazon. If you really think Amazons are like that, then you don't belong among the Amazons. DC Life says especially it's like Lex or Joker, Circe, Grail, Devastation, Dr. Psycho, and by a certain extent genocide. There are threats to Diana's sense of reality. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like he has yet to actually properly use her villains. He only used them for the Sovereign arc, but now he's like, now I want to use other people's villains. No, use your own. That's like Batman all of a sudden wanting to only fight other people's villains. Other villains that come to mind as antagonists are Duke's Deception, the Baroness, Angleman, who also comes to mind. Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to show you the page I was referring to in that book because there's something really cool. All right, so let me do this. Who is Wonder Woman? There are tons of potential with Grail and Wonder Woman. Yeah, exactly. And the only time they've ever done a Wonder Woman centric story is the Children of the Gods arc that I covered. Like I think it was I want to say it's last week or the week before that. I think it was the week before that. But there's nothing that they haven't done anything here. But so here's the page. Look at this. Okay. So this is at the end, and they're highlighting they're highlighting all of Wonder Woman's rogues here. Because you have Giganta, Queen Clea, Gundra the Valkyrie, Osira, the Mask, Kung the Assassin, the Cheetah, the Duke of Deception, the Angleman, the Silver Swan, Minister Blizzard, Dr. Cyber, Dr. Poison, Dr. Psycho. There's any number of villains that you could actually use, and then we actually get all of the people show up and help her. But I'm like, there's any number of Wonder Woman villains that you could be using, but instead you just decide I'm too lazy to actually understand Wonder Woman. I'm going to go grab characters that are from other people's rogues gallery because I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm sorry, that is stupid. Blue Snowman needs to love. Yeah, exactly. And not be used purely for a pride issue joke. Meaning to like bash Diana. I'm sorry, that just doesn't work. Like, none of this really works. But that's the really really dumb part of it. Like, none of these writers really understand Diana, and they just want to constantly add. Like, it's a big red flag when you want to start a story just to add a character to her. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, that you need to give me more than I want to add this character or this character or this character. No. I want more Giganta arcs in the books. Me too. That'd be great. I would love that. Right? I mean, there's so many villains for Wonder Woman that I would see future arcs or character stories be political, philosophical. Yeah, there's the possibilities are practically endless. It's like with Brittany in the Shelterverse. That's why we go extensively we use a lot of like really obscure characters and villains because we want to. Because here's the thing. If like your first time reading a Wonder Woman story and you don't know her Wonder Woman villains, but all of a sudden you see all these other villains, and then you can like show, and then you can actually like learn more about the lore and engage people. Hey, that's how you actually get some good stuff going. Bottom line, most writers don't get much. Most writers don't even get much less for villains. Yeah, exactly. They don't understand Wonder Woman. That is the real big point here. It's like none of them really get it, and yet they have characters. They have writers like Tom King that want to constantly say, "I know comics. I know comics." And I go, if you have to keep telling me you know comics, you don't know comics. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. Like, I'm sorry. That's not the way this is supposed to work. But it's like too many people protect their these writers' egos. She's either just a warrior for peace, or it's a warrior of peace. I mean, she's both. Yeah, exactly. And anyone that's telling you that's a contradiction doesn't understand Wonder Woman. But Veronica Cale has been used since the G. Willow Wilson run. That's crazy. She's one of she is. And it's like they don't want to use her. They're like, I just want to use Lex Luthor. You know what it is? It's Tom King being too lazy to actually research Veronica Cale. So he's like, okay, instead of using that, how about I just take a cheat code and then just use a villain I already know, even though it's not associated with this character that I'm writing. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. It's a shame too, because that Diana has so many. She has a gold mine of stories, but they never do it. And it's like, if you actually properly used all of these characters, like, I'm sorry, if you actually got someone in there like George Perez that understood Wonder Woman's lore, I swear you would actually be able to get a decent Wonder Woman run and a high-selling Wonder Woman run. Like, look at what happened with George Perez. Yeah, exactly. With George Perez, the man loved Wonder Woman and knew the character backwards, frontwards, sideways, diagonally, any direction you want, he knew the character. So he knew, okay, I want to basically do this story. I can use this villain, this villain, this villain, this villain, because they're like this. And it adds to Diana in this way. Tom King, on the other hand, actually, here's a good way to contrast it. George Perez shaped the story to the character. Tom King shapes the character to the story. And that is despicable. That is not how you make a good run for Wonder Woman. That's how you force a character to act out of continuity. But here's the thing. That's Tom King's entire career, just forcing characters into stories that they don't belong. His Supergirl story that everyone says is like, oh, it's one of the greatest Supergirl stories of all time. Actually, it's in no way a Supergirl story. It's just his perception of who Supergirl is, and that in and of itself is horrible. I bought the Perez Wonder Woman omnibus version, and I wanted to read this comics for myself because of the richest. Yeah, exactly. Enjoy it, brother. It's awesome. My Tom King wonders why people rightfully criticize him, but he's such a narcissist, he doesn't acknowledge it. Exactly. Lex doesn't work at all, not just because he's not a Wonder Woman villain, but because he's not obsessed with Diana in any way. In fact, he doesn't care about her that much. Yeah, exactly. His thing is Superman. Veronica Cale is obsessed with Diana. So if you really want that thing, go with that. It's like he just wants to. It's King wants to write certain characters. It's like, again, why he brought in Detective Chimp into Wonder Woman. It was purely because he wanted to pitch a Detective Chimp book. Like, that's it. He just wanted to write a Detective Chimp book and wanted to force the character in there. And then when people challenged him on it, he goes, no, that was Semper's idea. No, I'm like, no, bro, take responsibility for your own failures. Perez would have Wonder Woman be the first to forgive, inspire, and be a peacemaker, but she would pull her axe, sword, or spear if someone was a threat to others. Yeah, Perez understood that Diana is a warrior that will put fighting last, but it's never not on the table. That's just not the way it works. If you attack Diana and prove that you're not going to be talked down, she will put you down. As for writers, Jared, it's also important for writers to improve on their writing, storytelling, improve their own works to become better writers. Yeah, exactly. But King already thinks he's the pinnacle of comic book writers, which he doesn't. She wouldn't kill a villain because the villain threatens her child, Tom King. Or convince him to, or like coerce him into carving the word liar onto his chest. In other words, engaging in self-harm because he killed Steve Trevor. Exactly. Or she wouldn't do the whole I'm going to make him shoot me so I can deflect the bullets back at him and kill him. Oh, no, I didn't kill him. The bullets did. I go, no, you still killed him. You deflected it right back in his direction. Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. But so what other questions do you guys have about this stuff? What other Wonder Woman villains you guys want to do? Or if you guys want to hop on the panel and talk about your favorite Wonder Woman villains, or maybe some I missed, let me know. Let's see. Absolute Wonder Woman ranks second on the list. Another win for us. Do you know where King is finished? Hopefully 90th place or below. I have to check. The sales for November hasn't come out yet, like the monthly sales, but we'll see. If it's 90th and below, that's going to be really fun. It's almost like a little game to see how much he's going to fail. Also, Trinity came out this month, so we could see if Trinity actually ranked. That'd be really fun. Agree, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is Wonder Woman the type of character who uses killing as an option as a last resort type of thing? Yes, that's exactly what it is. She won't go out and intentionally try and let me put it this way. Diana will never escalate a fight. If it escalates beyond what she says, look, that that's just the way it's got to be if that happens. But it's like she's never going to go in there and escalate a fight. She will, lack of a better term, she'll let everyone else escalate the fight first. I think it's more important to have writers who actually understand Wonder Woman and focus on her first before they add any new characters to her lore. That's what I would do. If I were to write Wonder Woman in the lead up to my run, I would straight up say, we're not going to add any new characters for at least the first, the first arc. I'm not going in there to add, because I think it's lazy to go in there and saying, I'm doing this to add this character and this character and this character. And I go, no, I'm sorry. Wonder Woman has enough awesome characters that if you actually know the character, you can 110% create a story that perfectly aligns with the character. She kills when she's convinced there are no other way and she won't hesitate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is exactly the point. But it's like, if you're not going to understand the character, if you're not going to take the time to understand the character, if you're not going to understand that part of the character, then you have no business writing the character. That's my chief point. If you're not going to take the time to learn how to write the character properly, you have no business being the Wonder Woman writer. When it comes to Donna and Cassie, which villain should be their main? For Donna, I see Silver Swan until she's redeemed. And Cassie, I want to see Devastation. You could do that. That actually works really well. She did that with Decay and Demos. Yeah, exactly. But for Donna, I could see Psycho, but yeah, I could see Silver Swan, because Silver Swan's actually, you know what? I would put Silver Swan with Cassie, because Silver Swan really returned as a villain during that run, and she was upset that she never got offered the job as Wonder Girl. So you could do that. I remember someone saying no writer is like Perez level. Of course, not every writer is going to be Perez level or Tolkien level writing by doing some good. Yeah, it's like, here's the thing. You don't have to be Tolkien level intelligent in order to actually research the character if you're going to write them and understand this is how the character is, this is how the character acts. That's what it is. That's what it is. she would at the same time try her best to reach Cheetah, Silver Swan, Giganta when she's convinced. The good way of looking at it is the Maxwell Lord thing. Because, yeah, she gave him every opportunity to not be a villain and not be a threat. But when he presented her with no other options, she basically said, okay, I'm going to, I have to kill him. Because it's more like, he told me under the influence of the lasso. So that's the way it's got to be. That's the way it is. But then again, you really have to understand the character and actually do the research. And unfortunately, not enough writers do the research because they don't care. Basically, for me, Wonder Woman is cool enough. She doesn't need new characters to make her cool. Writers who think she's not cool is because they don't get her. Yeah, King went into this saying, I want to prove to you that Wonder Woman's awesome. And I go, we already know she's awesome. And you're obviously doing a piss poor job of doing that. And it's like, if that's the reason why you're going into it instead of like actually writing the character, it's like the other part that I had a problem with is when King did the whole stupid cancer kid issue. The reason why it's stupid is because it puts a target on the kid's family's back because Diana's a fugitive at that point. But B, here's the other issue, guys. He made it so it's like, I'm a boy, but I like Wonder Woman and not Batman and Superman. Is there something wrong with me? That's not an issue anymore. Like, I'm sorry. That's not an issue. There has never been in my lifetime, I want to be clear, it's never been like not cool for a dude to be a Wonder Woman fan. That's not a thing anymore. I'm still mad at Bloodlines movie because a lot of DCAU fans think Vanessa's a spoiled brat. I know, right? An arc with that, Cameron, there's a lot of things that movie gets wrong. An arc with Queen Clear would be dope. Haven't seen her in like 20 freaking years. That's why, again, Absolute Wonder Woman is so great because Kelly Thompson is using Diana's actual rogues in order to actually highlight them. It's like she used Clea and stuff. So that's the way that worked. I have huge issues when writers add new characters to their stories without at first setting up old characters in order to establish a story. Yeah, exactly. Because that just means, okay, I don't expect to last long on this book. I just want to be able to like establish when I inevitably leave, I'm like, oh, look, I had this. I invented this character. I did this. And then watch Britt and I come in and immediately go, and the character's dead. But that panel makes no sense. That issue has long been resolved. Yeah, exactly. That's never, in my lifetime, that's never been an issue. Like, ever has it been an issue. Like, never. And it's like the more he thinks about it, the more he proves he isn't a good Wonder Woman writer because he thinks that issues that were around maybe when he was a kid are still around. They're not. The fact that I have 3 shows that involve Wonder Woman in some way proves that that's not a thing. 3 very popular shows, mind you, but that's not a thing. But then again, he really doesn't. He doesn't care. He doesn't know what he's doing. Two of my favorite moments of Wonder Woman by writers outside Perez when Blue Beetle described her encounter in Infinite Crisis in Justice League. League of One. League of One is god tier. I also love in the Gail Simone story where Wonder Woman and all the female characters show up to fight, and like Ravager is there, and someone says, "Hey, Ravager." And by Ravager is Slade's daughter. This person goes, "Hey, Ravager, I didn't expect to see you here." And then Ravager just says, "Diana called, I answered." So it's like, yeah, all these female characters, they see Diana's at that level, all these female characters that they're like, if she calls me for anything, I'll be there. King never explained how Mouse Man gained godly strength to make Wonder Woman bleed. Is King Wonder Woman Captain America level? Or maybe King didn't think it through. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. I wonder if that's why. I think that's why. But that's the thing. That's the interesting. That's the part. I don't think King actually thought this through like at all. He really didn't. King never explained. Yeah, exactly. I read that one. First of all, why Mouse Man? Why would Mouse Man elevate Wonder Woman? Again, that's the other point here. He never thinks about how these characters I want to include elevate Diana's story. All he cares about is how would it's like all he cares about is essentially how does it elevate my story, not Diana as a character. Oh, he said, I would have loved for them all to go. Same here in response to Rose. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that could have been something. But the point is, you still had that thing where that shows how cool Wonder Woman is, that all of these characters would go into a battle that they probably know next to nothing about just because Diana asked them to. That's how you make Diana a good character. In no way is King making her a good character or a character that people actually care about. If anything, I would be that guy to say that King's run on Wonder Woman is character damaging. Yes, I will say it, character damaging. Parker says that there are so many mistakes Tom King made that you could hopefully make sure future writers don't make. I would basically like sit the writer down and say, okay, here's a perfect example of what not to do, and then just go off of that. Or just tell them, retcon the whole thing out. That's it. Just retcon the whole. If I were the Wonder Woman editor, I would first off kick King off, and then go, okay, you're done. You're done. We're gonna make it so the entire run practically never happened. Beetle says how Superman and Batman feel inaccessible, but Wonder Woman makes them feel loved, and she truly cares for you despite she's being a part of the big leagues. Yeah, exactly. That is 100% Diana. You can do that without some big bombastic story. Like, I'm sorry. All of this stuff is pretty obvious information. But yeah, but beyond that, why don't you guys drop in the chat, or if you guys want again, I can drop the link in the chat. Your favorite Wonder Woman, your top 5 Wonder Woman villains. Go ahead. And I would not hire the older writers, but rather have new ones come in and write the characters. Yeah, they need to stop because these older writers don't know how to write these characters anymore. They really don't. Hey, what's up, John's Long Box? Good to see you, brother. Because someone would make the argument that the older writers are showing their age. Yep, exactly. But yeah, so once again, it's like drop in the chat your favorite Wonder Woman writers. Hey, what's up, RJ? Drop in the chat your favorite Wonder Woman rogues and what you think makes Wonder Woman's rogues gallery unique. Because again, it's like the thing is, it's like the reason why I think Batman and Superman's have more well-known rogues is because when writers come on Wonder Woman, they want to change something about her instead of writing an actual cool story about her. As opposed to Batman and Superman, where people are like, I get to write Batman and Superman, let's go. That's at least my point that at least I think. What do you guys think? Could be anything you guys want to talk about. Any Wonder Woman villains that you guys think should get more attention. Anything you guys want. Wonder Woman rogues are different because Wonder Woman gets to them and makes them want to be better. The difference is Wonder Woman. Yes. I love Hades. Hades is a good one. I like that one, John. NJ says, I believe the next one will most likely bring back Hippolyta back in her mortal form after not using her for 5 years. She's a key character of the lore and tons of story potential. Yeah, that's true. Well done, RJ. Well done. In fact, you know what, brother? I'm going to give you this. Dr. Poison, Egg Foo, nice ones. I like that one. I would also like. I also would like some of her villains to be of the Greek myth, like Circe or Medusa, or like Kronos. Yeah, there's like a lot of potential villains that you could actually use. All you have to do is like open up a book on Greek mythology and look at what you got. But yeah, so what other Wonder Woman character villains do you think could work, including ones that like you think would actually be able to support their own arc? Because the Titans, yeah, that could definitely work as well. There's like so many Wonder Woman villains that if you actually use them right, Wonder Woman rehabilitating the gods, that's her. Yeah, that's her super. I would love that. Ares is one of her villains that was that she can constantly have ideas with about war and its pros and cons. Yeah, exactly. And it's like even if you go with Ares being a hero, you could still have those discussions and make that a story. That's another fantastic story there. But you just really have to like you just really have to actually think your way through this. But again, too many writers don't really care, and that's the sad part. Because if you actually cared about it, you would actually be able to do this. I admit, okay, let me see. I admit I have not seen much Ares and Valentine stories currently made. My eyes are broken. He hasn't been used a lot, and then King had him off himself because he was depressed about all the bad stuff he's done, even though that's never been a thing. Also, they can easily include Hippolyta with an H to Mary's powers and just release Hippolyta from being wasted in such a way. They can also include a goddess. Hera. Simple. And the Mary Marvel thing, I'm not even sure if that's still a thing anymore. I'll ask Robert, but you can use Hera. Her name literally starts with an H, and then there you go. You're done. You don't need Hippolyta. I get that what they were actually like doing with that, they were trying to like add a little bit more to the character, but the thing is, they didn't really like. I think it was fine for an arc. It shouldn't have been a permanent thing. Hercules for what he did to her mother. Oh yeah, Hercules would be great. Hercules would definitely be great. I saw a promo of Strife and Wonder Woman 30. I'm nervous. King's touching the gods. Well, yeah, exactly. But the part that has me interested, well, actually, here's the thing. That's not King writing those issues. That's Stephanie Williams. So King is not touching the gods. She is writing the Stephanie is writing the like in between story. She's writing 2930. I pre-ordered those issues because it's not King, so I can pick up a Wonder Woman comic and actually enjoy it. But what you could do with that, but like that's like dealing with Trinity's fate because it's going to be indicated. I think like an Oracle is going to say that like Trinity leads to the fall of the Amazons. That'd be really fun. That'd be really fun. Can he just be done? I agree with you. Let's get a new writer and pretend this whole one didn't happen. The time period that I think he's gonna leave is probably 35 to 40. Like that number is where I could see him leaving. Obviously, unless the issue completely like collapses. Like I believe that if the issues start dropping below 100, like the 100th place and never rise back up. Like if he gets to like issue, let's say he gets to 31 and 31 like drops to 100 and like for 35 up to 35 it doesn't do that, then I could see them saying 40 is the end of his run. I could definitely see that happening. Should Jason be brought back and maybe made into one of our villains? No, I would rather him being like an ally. So you also have a male on the Wonder family, but not make him a Wonder Boy. Because I think in some ways that works. But it's like it would be cool to like have Jason come back and be like a hero, in other words. Or Hestia could be the H, exactly. The fact that the issue is still going is a miracle for King. Yeah, I know. I wonder what other Wonder Woman villains we should see next, or someone from Greek mythology, or someone really interesting. Read Absolute Wonder Woman, and that answers your question right then and there. That's the awesome thing about Perez and Wonder Woman. She rehabbed Hercules and inspired the Amazons and gods to forgive him. That's the power of Wonder Woman. Yep. That shows you how awesome Wonder Woman is, because what you do with that is you basically say, he admitted he was wrong. Since she is Greek, she should be fighting Persian heroes or gods. That'll be interesting as well. That would actually be real. That's actually a really cool way to do that. DCU workload also helps him leave real soon. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I know. Ironically, the way you get King off Wonder Woman, for lack of a better term, is to actually give him more work in the movies. So that's the funny part about that. That's the really funny part about it. How would you fix the new villain? I literally forgot her name. I have to remember it. You mean Matriarch? Oh, here's easily how you fix her. Kill her. Don't use her again. Luckily, she's in the future, so you do not have to ever use her again. It's like an alternate future that likely won't happen. Just say, in no way is this story going to go in the direction of Tom King's story. That's it. And then he destroys Wonder Woman in the movies. I think that's worse. I don't think they'll put him. Well, here's the thing, DC Life. He's not a writer on the Wonder Woman movie or Paradise Lost show, so likely he's not involved. So, could they involve him? Sure. Will they? I doubt it. I really doubt it, because I think that in the movies, you can't afford to take a risk, and putting King in charge of the Wonder Woman movie is a massive risk. Yeah, not a good name. Yeah, exactly. If you can't think about it, that's how you know the character sucks. Yeah, King is Guns comic writer. Yeah, I know. I mean, it could happen either way, bro. But honestly, I'm kind of like, all right, if it happens, okay. But if it does, if it happens, okay. Well, I would honestly, yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, I understand, but it's like, if he's in charge of the movies, it's like, which he's not again. And also with the movies, it wouldn't be just him writing it. So I'm kind of like, yeah. Let's do Wonder Woman. Let's do Wonder Woman how King does Wonder Woman, and then the masses will think Wonder Woman is how King sees her. Yeah, but as far as we know right now, he's not involved in Wonder Woman, so there's no need to freak out yet. All we know is that so far he is like... so far all we know is that he is like actually like... What's the word? Is that he is just involved in like his like Mr. Miracle and like all the projects that are adapting his stuff is what he's involved with. So just adapt your stuff. As far as I know, I'm rocking back and forth to find a safe space right now. I know. In the next run, God willing, how would you like Diana and Hippolyta to reunite? You know what? I have to think about that. I would have to say, with the way you could kind of do that really well is you could have it where like Diana is like on the island just walking on the beach, and then Hippolyta appears before her and just lands and goes, yeah, I'm back. But I want to actually see the way man's world has changed, so let me come with you instead of like remaining on the island. So you could do that. I wish I got more to say, but I got nothing. I'll definitely come up with more. Yeah, exactly. It's all good, bro. It's all good. I'm gonna wrap up, but yeah, So that's where I'm going to leave it. So those are my favorite Wonder Woman villains. And as for like next week, as I discussed last week, I'm going in the descending order of that list. So next week, we're going to be talking about the Wonder Woman 2009 versus the Wonder Woman Bloodlines animated movie to talk about what they both did, both well and bad. And so we'll be building off of that and talk about animated movies. As for the next bit of Comics League content, at 6 p.m. today, we'll be doing movie night. We're going to be talking about The Flash. And I haven't come up with a Wonder Woman Wednesday topic yet, but I will, obviously. And for Wonder Woman, for Under Two Capes, we're going to be discussing why does Marvel hate Spider-Man? And then in terms of on Tuesday for Super Pals, again, like Rob and I said last Comics League Dark, that's going to be at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time from now on because Robert has work. And Super Wonder Legacy is going to be on this coming Saturday instead of a bit because Brit's really like swamped right now. But it'll be on Saturday, and we're going to be talking about comparing DC to Mortal Kombat and talking again about Injustice and talk about how DC KO would have been the better idea for a DC like actual a fighting game. But anyway, stay heroic, and I will see you guys at 6 p.m. Anyway, I'll see you guys there. Stay heroic, everyone. And I'm going to play the Athena trailer one more time, and then we'll roll out. Have a good one.
My home has been invaded, my people slaughtered, and I could not do anything to stop it. Not again. I will not lose another home, another family. I am Princess Lyra of the planet Sintragar, Athena, the goddess of thunder, and this is my story.